before us is the Industrial and Provident Societies Amendment Bill 2018. First stage. Can I call on Deputy Clare Daly to move?
Yeah, thanks very much, Count Corlin. I'll just briefly move the Industrial and Provident Societies Amendment Bill 2018. On behalf of all of the Independents for Change TDs, I would say that the bill is a small piece of legislation, but designed really to amend the regulations around the establishment of cooperative societies in order to make the process of registering a co-op a lot easier. We believe and the bill is designed to do this in a number of ways. Firstly, by reducing the membership criteria from 7 members to 3 members, in line with the regulation which exists throughout most of the rest of Europe. To also allow for the electronic filing and registration, again, which is a process which exists for other types of companies, and to allow for audit exemptions, which are currently available to other types of companies, but not to cooperative societies. And we believe that these small measures will actually level the playing field and make the establishment of cooperatives a lot easier, and henceforth then, I suppose, lay the basis for us as a society developing this type of economic activity much more in line with what happens throughout the rest of Europe and indeed throughout the rest of the world. And when you look at what happened in terms of the economic turmoil over the past decade, for example, the insecurity of the market, the devastating effect that has had on jobs and vital services, it's no coincidence that against that backdrop in Europe there was a significant growth in terms of co-ops over the last decade to salvage jobs and to save local service, but not in Ireland. We're completely out of kilter with the rest of Europe in that regard, and we think this piece of legislation can be part of Ireland joining the cooperative movement that already exists, a movement which is resilient, democratic and generally based on values to provide good jobs and good services that are beneficial to the communities. These companies are much more likely to reinvest their profits into training and education rather than bending to shareholder demands, and they're far less actually likely to contribute to environmental damage in their locality, and in fact they're incredibly sustainable, currently providing 100 million jobs around the world. I think research in economies like the Scottish economy, for example, revealed that the cooperative model is much more likely to survive in the first 5 years than other start-ups, with a 97% survival rate for the first 12 months. The 573 co-ops in Scotland had a turnover of £2.4 billion last year, based on a membership of 1.2 million, while the UK as a whole had 7,226 independent co-ops, stretching in range from the well-known John Lewis chain with a €10 billion turnover right down to local creche providers. And we think this is something that can be replicated in local communities and particularly rural communities around the country, with massive advantages to everybody. They really are a win-win example. We currently have the Dublin Food Co-op run by its members, providing healthy, fair trade, cruelty-free and environmentally friendly produce, which there's a big market for. We have the incredibly successful Belfast Cleaning Company, a worker-owned and managed company operating very successfully on a cross-community basis in Belfast for the last 5 years. The Magpie Recycling Co-op, for example, in Brighton, began with 3 volunteers collecting cans and glass in their locality, and expanded that then into a collective recycling materials such as old furniture from the curbside to provide a service to over 2,000 households, and a workshop to upcycle the waste. So there's no shortage of examples. We really believe that this is a win-win model, and this simple mechanism will make the process of establishing cooperatives easier, and we will be very supportive of any community groups or local workers groups who want to adapt that model to work with us, and indeed the pioneers in organisations such as Trademark who operate out of Northern Ireland who can assist in this regard.
Thank you, Deputy Daly. Is the bill being opposed?